This is the 16th episode of God's Chosen Podcast. Today we are going to talk about being obedient to the things God is telling you to do and what happens when we don't listen and try to do our own thing. Let's dive in. Enjoy.
What up, chosen ones? I got a special late night broadcast for y'all. So, God put it on me to talk about this subject. So I'm going to talk about it. Yeah, it's like 3 a.m, but when the man call, you answer. Always. You don't put it off. You don't, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm sleepy. No. You got to understand something. There's a reason why you're called to do certain things. There's a reason why God tells you to do certain things. If you feel like in your heart of hearts, God is telling you to do something, don't ignore it. Don't think that you know better than God. Because what's going to happen is if he's telling you to do something, he's going to tell you more than once. But it's going to be a point where he's going to be done telling you. And then it's going to be disobedience. And if you're not being obedient, what you're going to run into is problems. Like, not just regular problems, big problems. Like stacks on stacks on stacks of problems. And the reason why that's going to happen is because God wants to show you what happens when you don't listen to him. So he makes your life harder. You may have thought that you was going to take the easier route in your finite wisdom. You may have thought like, oh, I'm going to do this my way because this looks easier. But what you don't understand is God's wisdom, God's understanding is infinite. He knows things that you don't know. He can see everything, the whole picture, where you might only be able to see one small fragment. He could see the whole picture. So he knows what he's doing. You have to let go. You have to trust God. You cannot think you know more than God. You cannot think that you know better than God. I'm going to give you an example. Today, God spoke to me through another person. He can do that. Believe. He spoke to me through another person. He told me to go buy some disinfectant. Now, it's random as, right? It's random as F, right? It's random. But I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I go do it. And it didn't mean anything to me other than being obedient, doing what he asked. And as I'm sitting here right now, I know why he told me to buy that. That was a test of my obedience. You see, God will test your obedience when he's about to do something big for you. When he's about to move you into a new space, a new place. He's going to test your obedience to make sure he can trust you with bigger things. So, although that little quest seemed insignificant, it was quite significant. Because 99% of the people, if you are not following God the way you should be, they would have questioned that. They would have tried to fight against it. They would have been like, what I need disinfectant for? What I need that for? I don't need that. I don't even use that. Well, I don't use it either. Not really. I didn't have one in the house, but I went and got it. He told me to get it. It's that simple. There's no questioning. When you get on that level with God, that's when miracles happen. That's when the things that you can't imagine happen. Yeah, that's when that happens. The things you can't imagine happening, the things that happen that's so crazy and so serendipitous, and it works out like even better than you could have ever planned it because you listened. Yo, that's the magic. That's when magic happens for real, for real. And it's wild to me because, like when you know about God, but you don't know God. It's a difference, You know about God, you know he exists, but you don't know him. So it's like you don't really have no experiences with him to understand him, to really like get how he move and how he work and how he operate. Right? And if you don't have anything to base it on, only thing that you really have is trust. And the only way that you build up that trust is by paying attention and doing the things that he asked you to do. Because if there's one thing we know, God is not going to ask us to do anything that is going to harm or injure us, right? He's going to do things to elevate and prosper, right? Now, you may have some lessons in between these elevations and prosperings. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna tell y'all, I had like the biggest lesson this week. And this lesson probably was like, it lasted probably like a month or a little month and a half, this lesson. I was just so in my head, like this last month and a half, I'm like really, really in my head, like, dang. And I mean, like, I'm in my heart too, but it felt like my head was dominating. You know what I mean? Like my thoughts was just running wild. And I couldn't like pin it down. Like I tried, I was fighting, but it was like, I didn't have that normal control that I normally had. And it's because I was giving too much attention to situations that wasn't serving me. So it created anxiety. It created a version of me that I don't like. I don't like to feel like I'm not in control of my thoughts and my emotions and my feelings, right? Some of y'all might be able to relate. But I also learned that if I have a problem and I pray to God for a solution to the problem, I got to surrender the problem and stay out of it after I surrender it. And I have to trust that God is going to make it work out. That was probably the hardest thing for me. But you know what it does when you surrender it? One, it frees your mind to go do whatever you want to do because you ain't worried about that no more. You built a relationship. You trust God to handle that, right? But what it actually does, the second thing it does, is if you don't trust God to handle that, you are going to see everything come up inside of you that wants to fight the urge to listen and let that thing be surrendered. Let it stay surrendered. Don't interfere. As much as you want to, as much temptation that's upon you to go ahead and interfere and try to fix things that you think is wrong, even when nothing is wrong, because God said he got it. His understanding is greater than yours. But you such always want to be hands-on, and you always want to, you're so used to control that you can't let it go. And I had to fight that. I mean, like, there were times where I did kind of put my 2 cents in there because I'm like, man, this is taking too long, or I'm, just not listening, not sticking to surrendering, right? And then I got to catch myself, and then I got to start over and do it again, right? And now the second time around, third time around, you're a lot more conscious, right? So you're seeing these things, these same thought patterns pop up in your head. And now you got to start defeating these thought patterns because this is self-sabotage. So now you got to actually look at why you are trying to self-sabotage and work through that. Face them. You got to face whatever issue it is that's causing you to want to have control and not surrender. And you got to break that down. You got to fix that so you could let God do what he said he was going to do and give you the thing that you said you wanted, the thing that you prayed for. You can't pray for the thing and ask God for the thing, but you want to do it how you want to do it. That's not how that works. You got to let go and let God for real. Once you pray for the thing and you surrender it to God, if you notice that you have those tendencies to where you want to control, look at whatever issues, whatever thoughts, whatever feelings is trying to interfere with you surrendering, and you got to face it head on, figure it out, heal from it, and continue to let God do what he do without your interference or input. That's like the student trying to tell the teacher how to be the teacher. We don't need to do that, right? At all. So, yes, it's difficult. No, it's not easy. But it's 100% necessary. If you prayed for whatever you prayed for, you prayed to God. Remember, you prayed to God, right? Because you realize that his understanding is greater than yours. That's why you prayed to him in the first place. Then you got to step back and let him do what he do. If control issues are triggering to you, then you got to work through that without interfering about what you prayed for. Because what happens is the more you interfere is the more you delay what it is you asked for. Let that sink in for a little bit. So before you do the thing that you think is going to actually help you get there faster by putting your hands in it, stop. And remember that you surrendered it. Because as soon as you put your hands back in that situation, you've just slowed down your manifestation considerably. And you don't know how long you put that thing back. That thing could have been coming to you tomorrow. That thing could have been one day away. And you go put your hands in there, and now you done pushed it back a month or two. And the way that you'll know that it's close is because you will want to put your hand in there. When you kind of get these feelings of how you feel like you can't control yourself, that means you're getting closer and closer to the thing that you prayed for. That's when it gets the hardest. That's when you got to show the most discipline. I went through so much these last few months with learning that particular aspect of it, because through all these moon cycles, retrogrades, and all this stuff, it was wild. Like, my thoughts, like, I can tell that we were shifting into something different, because as I was getting closer to my manifestations, I just felt like out of sorts, out of shambles. It was just wow. It was just, I felt like everything was coming at me at once. Like, I didn't feel like I was grounded. I felt like I was just kind of wobbling, like everything just hit me. And I know from past experience, when you feel like that, that's all your manifestation is about to come through. Like, that's when it gets the craziest. That's when you feel like giving up. That's when you feel like you don't know if it's going to happen, you know? But this time, that was like times 100. It was different. It was just different, you know? It was a lot more than I anticipated as far as all the feelings and all the emotions that I was going through, because it's a big manifestation. You know what I'm saying? So it hit different. But the main thing I want to leave y'all with, though, is if God's telling you to do something, if he's putting it in your spirit to do something, don't question it. Just do it. Because I know that little thing that I did with getting this disinfectant is going to be the thing that gets me my next blessing, because I was obedient and I didn't question it, and I didn't try to say, oh no, what I need that for? I don't need that. That's stupid, blah, blah, blah. No. You are always being tested, because your blessing is right around the corner. And if it's a big blessing, God needs to know he can trust you. So he's going to tell you to do something, and it may make no sense at all. But if you do it, you're going to find that you're going to be glad that you did it. You're going to be glad that you did it, because now you just allowed your manifestation to come in, which is usually like a blessing, could even be a big blessing, and you pass the test. You obey the small, simple, seemingly insignificant request. And while God knows I can trust you with bigger things, and then he's going to reward you with bigger things. And as you go on the journey, you build up more and more trust the rewards get greater. So obedience to whatever it was God is telling you to do is key, because he's not telling you anything to hurt you. He's telling you things that's going to benefit you. The problem that some of us have is we're scared to act on what God is telling us to do because we don't know what it's going to look like. We're scared because we're not the ones in control. And we haven't quite mastered the art of surrender yet. But I'm going to tell you, once you submit, once you surrender, it gets easy. Once you learn to trust, get out of your head and listen to whatever it was he was telling you to do, even if it sounds dumb, even if it looks dumb to you, to your conscious mind. Could just be a simple test. The thing that I want you to consider is, what if the thing that you didn't do, the small test, what if the thing that he asked you to do was the very thing that could have saved your life later that day or later that week? With little insignificant thing that he told you to buy or purchase or get. What if that thing could have been the very thing to save your life because there was a situation coming down the road that you had no idea about, but you were listening, and now you end up either harmed or worse? Y'all gotta think about that. It's not always, everything is not always as it seems. That's how important it is to listen. You know, I'm a Marine. But one of the most important things as a Marine is listening. Because if you don't listen, you can get somebody killed. If you out there doing the wrong thing in the wrong place, going off by yourself, you can get yourself killed or you can get your whole team killed. So the stakes is high when you're in the military. And it's just like when your parents will tell you to do something, and even though you may not know exactly why they told you to do it, the simple fact of being obedient could save your life, because your parents are telling you things from experience to protect you. So even though it may seem dumb, it might seem like an inconvenience, it might make no sense to you, that's okay. It don't have to make sense to you. But what you got to know is, you got to trust that God knows what he's doing and he will deliver you. Because what if you over here thinking about all the bad things that can happen if you do it, but you're not thinking of all the good things that can happen if you do it? What if this move that he's asking you to make changes the whole trajectory of your life. One move can be that important. It's the one thing that changes everything. The life you always wanted, right there at your fingertips. But while you're so close, you're scared to take the leap. God will lead you to water, but he cannot force you to drink. This is what you said you wanted. You got to seize the opportunity while it's there. It may not come around again, ever in your life. And, the thing about it is, if God is giving you a gift, if God is giving you everything you ask for on a silver platter, and you turn it down, they're going to be repercussions. You're going to have a season. You will have a season, and it will be one of suffering, because there was a lot of work that went into putting your manifestation together. So if all this work is done behind the scenes and you turn it down, it's like you spitting in God's face. You disrespecting him. You wasting his time. You're not honoring him. You're not trusting him to do the thing you asked him to do. But look, I'm going to leave it right there for the night. I appreciate y'all. It's your boy, GodsChosen, and I'm out.